Awesome, Matt. I think we are live.
Yeah, looks
Yeah.
like it. Uh,
That's
we're
that's
on
interesting.
air.
You can actually ask somebody if you can write on chat, if you can hear us loudly and clearly. And we're going to start in a couple of seconds with a webinar hosted for the first time, the Partner Day online. But yeah, there will be more to come. And actually, Matt, we are planning the on-site event as we were discussing for multiple weeks already.
Yeah, so this is not just a webinar, right?
Yeah.
It's a full-on Xplus Partner Day, the first one ever. It should be very, very interesting. But yeah, we were planning initially to do it on site. We wanted to do a nice on-site event in Warsaw to invite our partners and maybe even some customers to talk about our solutions in detail and how they work in real life, what kinds of results they generate, both for customers and partners. But it wasn't meant to be this year to do it on site. So
Sure.
we settled on doing it online. I think this will still be great. The sessions will be, very focused on value, and I'm sure everyone who attends will take something out of it, something valuable from each and every session.
We
Uh,
probably won't also overlap with the events we had because this year was crazy for Vegas, Porto Roche. We've
yeah.
showed a lot, but yeah, I think we have some new stuff for our guests.
Oh yeah, for sure. The amount of events, like just in May, it was way too much. But this year in general, I think we've been to a record number of events, right? This Mavim event in Amsterdam. We had this Credo event for XF in Warsaw. We had the Microsoft AI tour in Brussels. We had the roundtable from Microsoft in Warsaw. We had the companion events in Copenhagen, in
Yeah,
Bucharest,
Bucharest. Yeah, true.
the CER event in London, and then the DynamicsCon in Vegas. That was a fun event, wasn't it?
And also Porto Roche and this multiple other on-site visits with partners. Yeah, this I believe that's this is the moment where Lufthansa and all the Star Alliance flights, the Star Alliance companies, they should send us some flowers for spending so much cash on them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should, shouldn't they, huh? They
Yeah,
should be treating us better for being such frequent flyers. But
true,
yeah,
true.
it's been crazy between these events and visiting partners, customers. It's difficult to actually find the time, to catch up on things.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, excited. That'll be great event. And as Matt is mentioning, we are co-hosting here today with multiple people on board. There will be Matt hosting the session. There will be Paweł Bączkowski who will run the data mining and process mining functionalities. So we're gonna have Paweł Wozniak. So everybody who is actually very visible on the YouTube channels and on-site session with partners and customers. You will see us all today. We brought the A team to show you everything we've came up through last years and guide you through how to collaborate with XPlus, become more a partner, how to make revenue streams because this is the goal, yeah, Matt? We want to bring business and we want to grow together with partners.
Exactly, that's the way to go. When we bring value to the customers together, these customers are happy. You, as our partners, are happy, and we are happy. So, when everyone is happy, that means we're doing something right together. But Bart, what a journey it has been, right? These past, I don't know, 8 or more years, from being a market leader in AX 2009 and AX 2012 for automated testing to
Yeah.
becoming the number one paid solution for F&O for automated testing, to having our security setup solution, well, first developing it to solve security issues for customers, then selling it to Microsoft so that now everyone can take part and solve their custom security roles with user security governance, to now this exciting new observability solution, the first one ever for F&O.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
it
I think
was it easy?
I think that's a roller coaster. That describes the way you think you know everything about the market and the partners and the value proposition, but then competition. Microsoft releases our set for free, and we've been kind of questioning what do we do? We have a paid product, and how to collaborate, and we won, as you mentioned. Overall, I think the best value we can extract from all those years is that I think we have very good nose, very good feeling what products to build, and how to build them, what kind of functionalities, how to collaborate with market, how to collaborate with Microsoft and partners to bring significant value. And I think this experience we are sharing together with the team, because it's a fact that we also internally are very stable. We have a little churn on the team. Everybody with high knowledge stays, and that actually gives us that feeling of the market to know where to position next step. So I think that 8 years, it's a stability. It's a roller coaster, but it's stability and the big pleasure that we can actually bring some game changers to the market, as you were mentioning, security, an example. Okay.
Yeah. And now there's also a very exciting opportunity with Microsoft deprecating RSAT.
Sure.
I'll talk a little bit more about this during my session, but I think everyone is thinking, like, what now? Microsoft
Yeah,
deprecating
exactly.
RSAT. Many customers use it to some point. Some use it very little. Some use it more. In my opinion, RSAT is not really a viable solution for bigger projects. If you have more than 100 test scripts, it gets very difficult to manage that in RSAT. But smaller projects having 50 test scripts in RSAT, that's perfectly fine. And many customers who are doing that now will start looking into some other solutions. And we are targeting this moment. We are thinking strategically about how to make it work so that we can go with our light version, which is a free version of the solution, which we already shipped before Microsoft announced this RSAT deprecation. But we want to make this solution a tool that anyone can use, that is free, and that brings a whole lot better experience than RSAT ever brought. But yeah, it's just about us figuring out this freemium premium model, how to make this work. And we've already received a lot of very, very useful feedback from many of our partners on how to shape this this version. Again, the version 1 is already available on App Source, but we're now thinking about how to improve it, how to make the version 2 the standard go-to solution for anyone needing help with test automation in F&O. And of course, there will be just some limitation on how much you test. If you get really serious about testing and you start testing a lot and very frequently, sooner or later you will need to upgrade from this free version to a premium version, to a paid version. But yeah, customers who will continue to test small will be able to use the free version pretty much forever.
True, true. Yeah, that's a point. And we've encountered value of kind of the estimate that there are close to 3,000 customers across the globe with RSAT being somehow active. So that'll be interesting how this conversion will go on. And yeah, today over multiple sessions, you will see details of that. And I think I will just carry on to the agenda with
Let's take a look what we have for this first one ever Xplus Partner Day.
exactly. So we are starting with welcome. We will walk you through the observability as the foundation for your future. That will be hosted by me. I will give you some good understanding of what this product does and how to perceive that for your dynamic finance and operations environments.
Just maybe to say a few words about Bart, if you don't know him yet. Bart is our VP of products. He's the man behind all our major solutions. He's been critical in our success, and I'm always amazed by the insights he brings to the table, and also just the sheer breadth of his knowledge. And in this session, Bart, I believe you'll take everyone through the product that's been getting a lot of attention lately,
Yeah.
Discovery. And you talk about the values that observability brings for F&O customers.
Exactly, yes. So that'll be summarized in a glimpse. Naturally, this application has a massive. This is going to be a foundation for entire day, because the observability at the end of everything, how are you going to perceive that, builds value for auditing, for testing, from process mining, for performance testing, and so forth. So that'll be something which combines all of that. And if you're going to take a look on the first session, you're going to have. That would be a nice starter for the other topics. We're going to have process mining hosted by Paweł Bączkowski. We're going to have test automation by you, Matt, our head of product, head of the partnerships. Thank you so much, Matt, for kind words. Always great to co-host
My pleasure.
and co-hike the world. Yeah, we do a lot of traveling together with Matt, partners and customers, so we are able to brainstorm a lot how to build good products in our ecosystem. And lastly, we will have Paweł Woźniak on the complete vision of performance of your D365 FSCM and BC Test Automation Live. So that will be a complete day with us today, and I bet you won't get bored. I bet that you're going to see here today multiple great values. And yeah, let us know, what do you think about that. We're going to redo those webinars and few more than invited for on-site events we're going to host soon.
Yeah, we'll start also each session with a quick survey just to get a better understanding of the audience and also better tailored this experience for you. So please participate in those surveys. Also, for each session, just write your questions, comments in the chat. There will always be at least a few minutes, hopefully, for each session to address your questions at the end. And there will also be a 15-minute break between each of the sessions. Of course, it may be a little longer or a little shorter, depending on how the session actually ends. But there should be at least some break for each. And again, we'll start all of these sessions with the quick survey. So please take part in that. And I think with that, Bart, I'll just leave you to your first session.
I have one more point. See that we are actually visiting the BizApps Summit in Seattle next month. I think it will be also a good moment to invite people for, I think, first ever comparison of test automation tools, applications on the scene. So that will be very interesting discussion done and hosted by Dynamics communities in Seattle. We've been invited to compare all the current test automation solutions available on the market, targeting finance and operations. And on the scene, we'll be able to answer questions how we perceive our test automation in agentic era. So that will be interesting. I'm super excited. And I love where we stand, Matt, now. With the power from the observability, we are giving to the market such a unique combination of functionalities, a platform which is uncomparable. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. So feel invited for that. And we have the event in October. That'll be
the Dynamics Con Europe. I believe this is what you mean, the one happening in Frankfurt. Or also there's the Summit NA in October, I think in Nashville this year.
Yes.
So yeah, the next 3 events we're talking about, we're thinking about what we're going to, are going to be this BizApps Summit in at the end of July. Be sure to let us know if you're coming. Again, we'll have this really nice session on comparing the different test automation solutions. Bart is gonna destroy the competition, I believe. And then there's going to be the Dynamics Con in Europe, in Frankfurt in October, and then Community Summit in Nashville in the US also in October.
Exactly, and that'll be a great occasion. If the content you're going to see today over today's agenda will interest you. On site, we are organizing some more one-to-one demos with partners. We discuss everything in detail. We want to propose a safe approach on scalability and building you services that will actually bring you a massive value for your end customers and yeah, build new revenue streams. So all of that in a glimpse today, but on site we can go to details and navigate how to embed all the applications you're going to see today. And I think, yeah, with that being said, I will jump into the observability. Thank you so much, Matt, for co-hosting the welcome with me. And look forward for your part soon. And yeah, let's
Thanks so
jump
much, Bart.
in
Uh,
observability.
Everyone, please enjoy the session by Bart.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us at this virtual partner event. Let's go forward with the next session, seeing the real process. First, process mining on Dynamics 365 supply chain management and finance with the usage data. I'm Paweł. I'm from Xplus, and for the next 40 minutes or so, I will tell you more about our new project, new endeavor, the way we're heading, the way where we put our efforts now, using the observability tool and building on it new possibilities, new functionalities. So the next 40 minutes, I'd like to talk more about something that genuinely we believe was not possible before, and now it is. Namely, it is the possibility of to see the business process flow in Dynamics 365 strictly from usage data, from telemetry. I mean, we're talking about process mining, not from database log, not from getting them from the database anyway. Logging in Dynamics 365 Finance, it's extremely complicated and difficult. You need to have a good reason to start logging the database. So we're not talking about getting the logs from the database. We're not talking about getting the data through the expensive, long-lasting year data engineering project. We're not talking about getting process mining data from mm, from interviews with the business people, from filling in any surveys. We're talking about getting the view of the process from real usage, from telemetry quietly collected by our discovery agent, by our observability functionality, and not only getting the processes out and surface them, but also getting a workable list of the optimization opportunities, the places where you can help your customers to improve their business, either through implementing RPA, AI, offering your own product, or simply by process re-engineering. So I will focus on that during my session. I hope I have prepared a balanced session. So first, I would like to tell you more about why it is important. Then I'd like to tell you a few words. How are we doing that? And then I'd like to show you some real figures from the test implementations we have with some of our customers. And then we'll come back and try to explain what's in it for you. Where is this business opportunity that comes with that new functionality of our product? But before I go forward, I would like to introduce you to the quiz we have prepared. A few questions. If you want to participate and try to answer them, please scan the code with your phone camera you see on the screen. You will be able to participate in our quiz and answer these questions. So the first questions we have stated for you is, do you see any RPA? Do you use any RPA in Dynamics 365 supply chain management? Obviously, the process mining possibility that comes with observability is a good entry point to offer to your clients the RPA. The second question is, are you able to map your processes with the business process catalog? I mean, if you don't know what the business process catalog, just bear with me. I will explain later on during the presentation. I would also like to, I forgot to add the question, how are you mapping these? That would be also interesting to know. Then, do you see a need for process mining in the market? This is something that is very interesting for us, especially in Dynamics 365. And then we have a question open-ended question. You can answer it. You can keep it for later. Maybe we can have it for discussion later on when we have a question and answer, if you have enough time session. When a client asks you to optimize a business process in Dynamics 365 supply chain management, how do you typically identify where the problems are? What are the methods you use? What is your experience in that? The next question is, how often do process inefficiencies go undetected in the system, in your client's system, until they cause a real trouble, until they surface, they are visible, they cause delay errors or overruns? And the final question is, have you ever delivered a process optimization project where you were not optimizing the right stuff, when the efforts went not to the actual bottleneck, but a completely different area? I mean, these questions obviously are entwined, so one is a result of the other. The problems with identifying the process could be the problems with putting the effort somewhere where you should not. So please answer those questions. You can answer them now, you can answer them later. Maybe we can also use them as a base for a discussion during a question and answer session at the end, if we have enough time. Okay, now let's come back to our presentation. So the statement of the problem here. What's the problem? I say the process is invisible. I'll explain you why in a second. And I also say that it's obvious, maybe, that you cannot optimize what you cannot see. Why the process is invisible? So when we implement Dynamics 365 finance and supply chain management, I mean, we, the consultants, integrators, what we do, we take a chalk, we take a blackboard, and we draw a perfect picture of the perfect process, like a very simple one you see on the left. It's a registration of the purchase order, receipt of the goods, then registration of the invoice for that purchase order, then the payment. The process is clean, it's linear, it's assumed. Usually it's a happy path. We implement that, we configure the system, and we try to teach the users to follow that path. But the day one, after go live, the reality drifts away. Okay, once you're perfect and a beautiful process, once your happy path is being hit by hundreds of users and hundreds of thousands of times, this reality gets distorted. So what in reality users do in a system, they will skip steps. They will do reworks, for sure. They will find shortcuts for the process, sometimes reasonable, sometimes not. They will do other things. They will make errors, or they will make something that they should not, consciously or not consciously. And all that things that you see on the right side of this picture look not as clean, as perfect as the one on the left when we were implementing. It looks more like a spider web. And it is not measurable. It was not measurable so far. We assumed the process. We did not measure it. We didn't have so far a cheap, effective way to map that process and to measure this effectively. So I say the real process, how it is being executed in Dynamics 365 by hundreds and thousands of users, hundreds and thousands of times, it's truly not visible, or it was not visible until now. So when you start identifying that and measuring that, that's when you start actual process mining. So to level set, it's a quick level set. Like some people call the process mining in different way, or identify it, or give a definition. I don't want to be too scientific now about data science, scientific kind of way. So I'll say like the process mining in one breath is like an MRI scan of your ERP implementation, of your business processes. So what we do, we get the real usage data, the telemetry, and we build from that event log, what really happened, step by step, from the digital trail that you already have that the system leaves. And we discover the map, the real flow. We rebuild what actually happened. And based on that, we can give you an insight. We can tell you what happened in figures, in measures. We know the frequency, how often this process happened. We know the waiting time. We know the average duration. We know the means. We know each and every detail, every detour the user was taking, executing that process. What is important, what we do is objective. It's not an opinion. It's an evidence. Like if you're going to get your process mining data from surveys or done by consultants through discussing that with the business users, these processes will be theoretical. They will be opinionated. They will not be objective. What we can give you with observability is in actual facts, actual evidence, actual information, what has really happened, and give you an insight based on that information. The business does not want from you perfect academic process. They want the real thing because only the real thing they can optimize. So now a few words how we genuinely do that. One thing I've already mentioned, that what we do is not the result of the long, year-long, half-year-long data engineering process. Classical process mining is pulling event logs from databases. Even if you look at the standard Microsoft process mining offer that you can get, this also assumes getting data from the database. And even the templates offered by Microsoft at the moment for that process mining project are dedicated for SAP, not for Dynamics directly. But if you do that, you're facing a very long project. You need data engineers to run that. Immediately you have a heavy IT involvement from the very start. Immediately you have a concerns how you're going to get the data not to impact the performance of the database. So you end up in a quite complex situation if you want to source that data. We withdrew that picture. We flipped the tables. Okay. We're offering you the usage telemetry, a discovery engine of observability that quietly in the background captures all activities of the users in a system. We have all the paths they take. We have all the menus they use, all the buttons. We have all that knowledge. And we collect that. And from that information, we build an event log for the process mining. And therefore, we can create a real picture without a big data project at first. So you almost immediately get results. Of course, not on a day one. The system needs to run for a moment to collect all these activities and identify the processes. But you're not facing a half-year data engineering project. You can get results relatively quickly without a big IT effort at the beginning. And to our knowledge, this is the first time the full process mining is available on Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management based on usage data, on a real usage data, not being sourced from database. So now we have the data, okay, but the raw clicks are not enough. How we go from here. So this is the missing ingredient. So if you look at the trace that we're getting from Dynamics 365 telemetry, the raw usage trace, it's at least from the business perspective, a gibberish. Of course, the heavy IT people will start read the details, start to recognize the tables, timestamps, and whatnot. But from business perspective, this raw trace does not have a big value. What they are looking for is something that you see on the right. They want to know that the vendor invoice is recorded. That is the value they are looking for. And in order to name that properly, the raw usage trace, so it presents the value to business process owners, we need to use a dictionary that will allow us to translate this data. But this dictionary we do not need to invent. This dictionary already exists, and we're using business process catalog published by Microsoft for that purpose. For those of you, I didn't have a question for that. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the business process catalog, how many of you are using Microsoft Business Catalog in daily work. Anyway, the business process catalog is our map. It's a list of the standard processes. It's published by Microsoft, is maintained and updated by Microsoft. This list is organized in 5 levels. Level 1 is the end-to-end business area. In my case, it's the source to pay in my example, but you also have inventory to deliver, order to cash, and other areas. Then these areas are split into process area groups. So groups of processes, like here, an example, you have a manage accounts payable. Then on level 3, you have an actual business process. In my example, it's a process vendor invoice. This is a general process. And then there is a level 4, where we actually pay the most attention to. This is the scenario, where you have, in my example, process vendor invoice for a purchase order. This is a specific way of doing the process. So for us, it's actual process. Business process we try to identify from the event log. So generally speaking, you have these 15 end-to-end areas, and they are split in this business process catalog provided by Microsoft into 3,000 different scenarios. I would like to distinguish here because we're using 2 names for level 4. One is scenario, another one is pattern. So name is the same, granularity in our product is slightly different. For pattern, the Bart was showing you is the actual execution of the steps done by the user in a specific session. In order to group that and logically give it the name, we use a level 4 of the business process catalog. It's something we call a pattern. Scenario is named using the same name from business process catalog. However, this is where the actual business case happens. What's the difference? Business case is a simplified view of the steps, so we don't have each and every click. We just have the events that have an actual effect on something we call an object. An object in process mining in Dynamics 365 is like an invoice, order, customer account. These are the examples of an object. So we're talking about the business process when you have an object and we have the events that change the status of the object generally and simply speaking. So the business process catalog is the backbone of everything that follows. The business process catalog is our map. The business process catalog we use to pinpoint, to name the things that happen in a trace that we collect from real usage of the system by the users. So how it all works. So first step, obviously, it's a capture. So we have users doing their job in the system. We capture all that quietly with no burden to the efficiency of the system. We collect that information using discovery by Xplus agent observability that records real users. Then we build from that execution traces. They have time orders, timestamps, they have forms, navigation, actions, all the steps that users are doing in the system are being collected, being organized, and timestamped. There is no custom development. There are no table extracts. The agent works quietly in the background on a live production system, observing the real situation, real situation, real activities of the users. The selling point here is that in order to start process mining in Dynamics 365, you do not need to have a heavy IT involvement from the beginning. No custom development, no extraction of the data from the database means that the involvement of the IT is minimal. You can set it up quickly and you can start collecting the data of the process mining. So once we collect the data, we need to classify it. So here is our little special sauce, IP, our competitive advantage, how we are identifying the business processes, how we are mapping the case to the actual business process catalog name. We have our ways. First, we use the module navigation to identify where the user is. Then we look at the primary forms and the objects are being worked on. Then we look at the actual clicks and the buttons. This allows us to our tools to identify business process scenario, give it the exact match. With that exact match, however, we will also give you a confidence score. For each trace we will identify. This confidence score is not the weakness of the tool. It's rather on honesty. If you want to be a valuable advisor to your customer, if you want to advise them how to improve their business, how to optimize, how to automate, where to implement, where to focus their effort, you need to be transparent. So when we name the process, we also give you a confidence score, so you can tell easily how confident we are naming this process. The honesty is the base for any business consulting. So once we have that, we collect the data, we build the event log. From that event log, we identify the name, give you a confidence score. We can look to this data through the lenses, start to analyze them basically. And these lenses we offer you are three. First lens is a discovery. It answers the question, what is actually happening? What's happening in a system? We have a process, okay. How this process is being executed? How many different variants and ways of doing this process users are actually executing? What are the real paths? When we have this information, we can start asking other questions, like, are we following the rules? So we're checking the conformance of the business process. We can deliver you a fitness score, saying how often the users are following the path we want them to follow, and how often the business process deviates from that path. It's different. We can also check other conformance rules, like segregation of duties, like not skipping an important steps, and other stuff defined as a business rule that is applicable to that business scenario, business process. This is a conformance point. And finally, you have a third lens. We can look at that data. This is enhancement. How do we improve? So you have this information, what is actually happening. We have a conformance score. Now we can say, okay, how do we improve this business? And for that purpose, we pull additional data for this scenario. We identify business objects, and we can give a euro or a dollar value to these objects, and we can tell the customer what volumes, money amounts are involved in that process. So we have a same event log, but this same event log can give us three different perspective: discovery, conformance, and enhancement. These perspectives answer to the 3 different questions. What is actually happening? Are we following the rules? And how do we improve? And actually, these questions are going to be asked by any business process owner at your customers. Okay, so that is a quick intro into how we are doing it. Now, let's move on and see some real data we were able to pull using this tool. So here is one of our test installation at our customers. The snapshot we took, it was a month and a half of observation. This installation is multi-company installation. Obviously, it's a large one of the larger. Because when we did that snapshot, we already had 200,000 execution captures. That represented 7,800, almost 8,000 hours of work of users. Here, when we talk about the hours of work, we talk about net hours of work. So actual doing something in the system, not the waiting time, not the time in between, not the working time like being at work, rather actually doing some activity in Dynamics 365. And the moment we did that snapshot, we have identified 174 different traces, different patterns. So here you can see where the time sink. So of all the 7,800 hours of work, 12% were devoted to review purchase order. 1,100 hours, 21,000 runs. Here is the explanation for those of you that are mostly focused on implementing Dynamics 365. We consultants, we tend to think that the ERP system is to do something, to register sales order, to post an invoice, to post a journal. However, when you look at the real world data, the data coming from the real production environments, actually most of the times users are doing nothing in the system. They'll go in, check something, go out. However, looking at this data, you have immediately a business question coming up right up, okay? Because this 1,100 hours, it's a one person work for 1 year, and this is only 1.5 month of observations. So you immediately raise the question, is this a rubber stamp or a real control we're here talking about? So here is also the point where you can approach your customer, your client, and say, look, there is a process that most probably should pay focus on. Maybe you need some help. Why your users are spending so much time reviewing purchase orders? Maybe these orders do not have information the moment they should have this information. Maybe the users enter these purchase orders to grab some information and take it to some external system. Maybe you need integration. So here you have all the world opens for you to start a discussion with your clients, how you can improve this process, how you can help your customer to run the processes better, more efficient. And our tool allows you not only to see this overall picture, but also to drill down and give a detailed information to tell your customer, okay, this company, this user, this process, this is where the time burns. Okay, here, let me help you. Let me try to help you out, providing the automation, providing my own product, providing the process engineering, implementing new module to help you out with the situation you're in. And what's important here to remember is that we got that from real usage data. So you do not have months and months of data engineering work to get this data. It's a 1.5 month of observation. No large IT involvement at the beginning. No one was interviewed. No business people were asked how they run the process. So also this data is objective. This data is not opinionated. So Here you see the overall picture. Now let's go into more details to one of the processes. So here we're going to talk about the conformance part. So first we have identified what's happening. Now let's look at the conformance part. So here we have an end-to-end order to cash and a sales order process. And we took the flows, the business cases that we discovered, and we overlaid it with the reference model. And we compared basically what happened to what should have happened. The reference model is very simple. On the left, you see create sales order, confirm order, reserve stock, release to warehouse, pick, and ship. The green events are the ones that are conformant, which means all the executions, all the flows that we've registered had these events. Create sales order, pick, and ship. They were conformant. When you see the confirm order, it's in the red because out of all 1,872 executions we have observed, 890 times this step was skipped. Then in yellow, you have reserve stock. We have business rules saying that to observe if the step was repeated. And we see that in half of the cases, stock reservation was repeated. It was not possible to execute that in one time. The user had to come back and do it again. And you also have a release to warehouse in yellow. This event, this step, has a general delay of more than seven days. Then we have again two conformant steps, which is pick and ship. So out of this information, layering the discovery flow with the actual reference model and putting on top the business rules that you can define in the system, we can provide the customer with a very simple and transparent KPIs. We have a fitness of 31%, not because of 1,800 executions, only roughly 600 are conformant. Okay, we have 1,200 deviating executions, and the average cycle is 9 days. We can also pull other information from the same source. If you don't want to use average, you can define the mean. You can see the steps that should, you can provide the business rules saying that some of the steps should not be skipped, they are mandatory, or you can check the separations of duties, for example. So 3 important things that I would like to land here is that nobody was interviewed for that data. The system told this itself. It's objective. It's taken from the data that client already generated by our observability agent. And second thing is that every number in that flow is clickable. So generally speaking, you can drill down to this 890 skips of the confirmation order, and you can say what orders were skipped and who skipped those. So a vague worry becomes a costed owner assigned action in this case. And the third thing is, please try to notice how the conversation with the customer changes. Like you stop saying, like your client stops saying, okay, my order to cash is slow. My order to cash feels slow. You start saying, okay, in this company, half of your orders commit stock before approval. There are 819 skips of the confirmation of the orders. The average release to warehouse is delayed by 8 days. You provide a specific information to your customer saying, okay, this is the real situation. This is where you should focus. This is where the problem is. So like conformance lens on this data turns a gut feeling into a ranked clickable list of our control gaps. And now what to do with this information, how to go from conformance to enhancement. So once we have this scenarios, these processes mapped, compared to the standard flow, we can also start pulling additional data related to objects. We can start pulling the dollar and euro amounts. We can say this invoice, how much it was worth. This sales order, how many items it had. This delay, how long it took. And suddenly taking the business value, amounts, volumes, quantities into the picture, you start talking the language that is easily understandable by people like chief financial officer, okay? You start answering the questions like, what's my touchless invoice rate, okay? How many invoices required people to do the job? How many of them were confirmed and posted automatically? Do I need help in here? How many reworks you had in the process? Did this reworks stopped the process, delayed the process? What caused these reworks? Maybe you have a three-way match rule. Perfect, fine. Maybe to that three-way match rule, you have a policy of the exception. Also okay, it's needed. But then you can answer the question, how much money flew through the exception? That is a very interesting answer to get. Is this policy working okay? Maybe this policy being abused. What is your cycle time? And DPO. Is your DPO a business policy? So it's conscious decision to have it this way, or actually your process is failing. And soon you will have your vendor coming in, increasing the prices to get financing for the cash you're blocking for them. What is your cycle time? You've seen in the previous process that there was delay in releasing to the warehouse. Okay, now you can tell how much money is involved in that process. And then you can offer to your client, hey, look, let's optimize that. Let's re-engineer this process. Let's do the automation maybe. And then you can tell easily by what steps you're going to take, how much money your customer is going to save. And you're just going to take a part of it as your reimbursement for the job. You can also answer other questions like how many Maverick spendings you have, how much money is in the buying outside of the process. You have a rule for the segregation of duties. Perfect. Does it work well? Go back to the real usage and check if your segregation of duty policy, procedure, configuration works well, or you have a situation where it's being skipped, abused. There's something wrong with it. So each of these map to a number of numbers that chief financial officer or any business process owner finds interesting. Okay? And that also potentially can build a business case for you. Now, let me boil down to one slide, all that I've said so far. So we have a business process catalog from Microsoft that creates a map for us. It's our dictionary we use to translate the event log into what business understands. We use that map, and on that map, with that map, we use the truth. So we use an application usage, a real usage we observe using our observability tool, our agent. So we know what is actually happening. And if we put these two together, we get to pinpoint the optimizations. We get to pinpoint the places where we can do some work with the customer to improve their business processes. We can do it very precisely. We can say this scenario, this company, this team, this value of money is involved in that inefficiency. Let's together work on that. So we turn the conversation from, okay, our accounts payable is slow. We start here talking about this scenario is slow, and this company is slow, and this much money is involved in it. let's work together to fix it. So it's time to slowly wrap up. Now I'd like to talk a bit more what's in it for you. Where do we see your role and the whole implementation and the using of this tool? So don't get me wrong, Microsoft Business Process Catalog is a great tool. It's being updated, something that's been missing for years as far as implementation of Dynamics and Axapta before. Now it's with us, it's great. I use it on a daily basis. I think some of you will also know it and use it on a daily basis. However, it's provided for the standard functionality of Microsoft Dynamics and covers standard processes. And our customers do work in the real world, and they work in an industry-specific environment. And this industry-specific environment forces them and us as an integrator to provide customizations for the application, provide a whole new approaches, provide whole new models, provide new business processes that business process catalog will not cover. That's why we want to give you a possibility of defining your own semantic model in a process mining tool of Xplus. So you'll be able to define your own objects and your own events. I mean, our tool will identify the execution and the process. If you want to leave it to us, we will use AI, LLM, to name that process. But we also provide the user interface that without coding will let you define the objects, standard ones I already mentioned, like invoice, order, item, but you can define your own objects, the name of the objects that are provided with your own customizations, and you will be able to provide your own definition of the events, so the steps the users are taking to modify the status of the objects. This can be done through the UI accessible semantic model, and this will enable you to provide a meaningful definition for your customers, for your business verticals. On top of that, in the semantic model, you can provide your own business rules. This is true for processes that are customized by you during the implementation, but you can also provide business rules, obviously, for standard functionalities, for standard processes that are meaningful for your customer or that are meaningful for your industry vertical. And also, semantic model allows you to provide perspectives. So the customer will want to see the processes that are related somehow to each other. Example, the purchase order was created from sales order line. In such a case, the customer would like to see these two processes together, although they are separate by the definition. So the perspective will allow you to define a view to see these two processes joined together in one view. So generally speaking, the business process catalog by standard provided by Microsoft will get you to 80% coverage, maybe 70, maybe 60%, depending on the installation. But the rest is last mile. That is up to you to take your customer through. This is your mode. This is your business advantage. This is where you can build your own process mining solution for your client, specific for the client or specific for your business vertical you specialize in. You can have a ready set of business rules, perspectives, objects, and events prepared for your business vertical where you specialize, where you're the best in doing the implementation and saying, hey, look, dear customer, I have a process mining solution prepared for you. This process mining solution is prepared for the business vertical I operate in. I am an expert in. So this is the offer. It's not the conversation about you want the process mining or you do not want the process mining. This is more about, okay, let me show you 3, 4 processes that are inefficient, dear customer, and let's work together to improve them. This is much more precise than saying, okay, let's have a process mining. And this process mining you can have without huge involvement of data engineering, without huge involvement of IT, without having a long lasting interviews with the business users of your clients. Partner opportunity here is you have an optimization offer, you identify the processes that are inefficient, and you tell the customer, let's do something together with that. I give you exact values, how much money you lose on that, how much time you lose on that. Please use my product to improve this process. Let's re-engineer that process. Let's implement new functionality. Hey, let's make a simple custom code for that part. And you have new advisor. You can build your own process mining solution for your own industry vertical, specific for your customer.